Good afternoon, everyone. Over the years and up to now, public administration as a discipline, scholastic study, and practice has continued to evolve as a result of various studies, classical literatures, and mostly opposing theses by known philosophers, gurus, and experts of the field as they are made significant and relevant at a given point in time. The reason being that public administration is a very broad field and a divergent discipline having a very wide range of coverage, which, as aptly put, covers activities from sweeping of the streets to the exploration of space. Thus, as scholars and practitioners, we hold that there is seemingly no single definition that can truly grasp the entirety of its essence and substance. Waldo apparently corroborated this so-called idea of the profoundness of public administration when he stated that the immediate effect of all one sentence or one paragraph definition of public administration is a mental paralysis rather than enlightenment and simulation, or rather than enlightenment and stimulation. This being the start off of our presentation as to what public administration is, has obviously put us in a situation where we are merely presenting the tip of the iceberg while we are trying to help you understand, by us trying to understand ourselves, the wholeness of a seemingly multifaceted diamond through its various sides. Now, in our succeeding slides, we will present to you a few of the classic definition of public administration which piqued most our interest and which we deem closest to what we ourselves comprehend it to be. Thereafter, we will present to you our very own definition or understanding of what public administration is and eventually come up with a way to somehow reconcile both. In this literary work, The Study of Administration, Waldo, in defining public administration to be the most obvious part of government, is the government in action, is the executive, the operative, the most visible side of government, and as old as government in itself, and yet confounded with the question as to why it took many years before it has been explored in the US, has greatly emphasized the more why there is a need to know more about public administration as an applied science. Pointedly, Wilson also expanded the coverage of administration when he advocated reforms beyond personal concerns only, but to extend also to the organizations and methods of our government offices. Likewise, the fact that Wilson stated public administration as the government in action and the most visible side of the government, for me, has somehow paved the way for the principle of transparency in doing about the business of government. According to his book, Introduction to Study of Public Administration, Leonardo White, he says that public administration is the management of men and materials in the accomplishment of the purposes of the state. He noted that one of the critical assumptions as the basis of the study of PA is management and not law. It has been noted that in White defining public administration by emphasizing on the managerial phase, he has veered away from the most common issue then regarding the dichotomy of public administration and politics. Moreover, he likewise noted that public administration as a field of study should stay close to reality, which reality he meant referred to largely untrained practitioners, and thus somehow stresses on the importance and necessity of pursuing study and practice regarding personnel developmental interventions. Another relevant and expounded definition about public administration is that of Negro and Negro's new public administration, wherein, according to them, public administration is a cooperative group effort in public setting covers all the three branches, executive, legislative, and judicial, and their interrelationship, has an important role in the formulation of public policy, and is thus part of the political process, is different in significant ways from private administration, and closely associated with numerous private groups and individuals in providing services to the community. In emphasis, Negro and Negro stated that any definition of public administration must not leave out legislature, thus opposing that public administration only covers the execution or the executive branch of the government. They cited that the role of legislative authorization, appropriation, and post-review, but also in the co-direction with administrative agencies concerned of the particular program. As far as the judiciary is concerned, they opine that it is a powerful force in shaping public administration. That is, when the courts pass upon the constitutionality of legislative enactments and administrative acts, they are determining what kind of public services can be rendered. Negro and Negro also stated that any definition of public administration most deal with the question of how it is similar to or different from private administration. Although the similarities are great, the differences noted by Negro and Negro are greater when they wrote that because the legislature and the general public are directly concerned, no public organization can ever be exactly the same as a private one. The peculiar element in public administration is that everything a government agency does is the public's business. Tax money is being used, so every citizen has the right to know how they are spent. And lastly, they averred that much is accomplished in government through collaboration with the private sector and individuals insofar as provision of services to the community is concerned.
Another expert who defined public administration was the American scientist Mr. Dwight Waldo. He defined public administration that it is the art and science of management as applied to the affairs of state. Mr. Dwight Waldo wanted public administration be noticed as a profession that connected many disciplines not independent from them. He asserted that the scientific method failed to harmonize administration with democratic values. Previous ideas held that the public managers should go for a European styles of the Dutch scientific administration in which policies were to be implemented objectively. He also said that public servants should become active, informed, politically savvy agents of change whose mission is to improve the human condition and strengthen democracy. By this, he proposed his four central ideas. Number one, there is an innate tension between democracy and bureaucracy that obliges career public servants to protect democratic principles. Number two, the separations between politics and public administration is false. Public servants hold political positions that require more than merely implementing policy set by the elected officials. Public servants must negotiate on number three. Public servants must negotiate efficiencies demanded by the scientific management movement with due process and public access to government. And that scientific management and efficiency is not the core idea of government bureaucracy, but rather it is a service to the public. And lastly, a government cannot be run like a business. The Constitution and other democratic imperatives must be honored. The second or the last expert who defined the public administration based on our research was Mr. Ricardo S. Lazo. He is the author of the Principles and Practices of Public Administration in the Philippines. He defined public administration that it is a progressing hunt for relevance, meaning and strategy towards responsive and accountable management of public resource where the nation's leaders, and the bureaucracy and its working staff are always put on a rather active test. Mr. Lazo believed that public administration as a discipline is usually stressed up with many issues for effective governance and management. The success of public administration as a discipline and as a practice, at least in the Philippines, is on how it can blend and work out public administration principles into the actual politico-administrative settings and the like manner as they are contemplated and propounded in existing literature abroad. In truth, however, most public administration theories and models are derived from Western and European origin, and may not reside too well in the experiences of a developing political economy like here in the Philippines. There are continuing efforts and strategies in indigenizing public administration principles for local adaptation that are believed to be workable and sensible. So aside from the five experts who give the definition of public administration, we also come up with our own definition. By Ma'am Mary Jeanette Pide, public administration is synonymous to management but as applicable to the public sector. It is a holistic approach on how laws, rules, and policies are formulated. An understanding of why they are formulated in the first place, how they are supposed to be implemented, and how these laws or rules and policies will eventually help to improve the current management or administration of public funds and public interests. And for me, public administration is the activity of giving service or manage the community in the fulfillment of public policies and programs. It is the planning, organizing, directing, coordinating, and controlling government operations. It's responsibility of determining policies and programs of the government. As we try to compare our own definition with those of the experts, it is worthwhile to note that ours is somehow not too far from theirs. Keywords such as management, holistic approach or concerted efforts, public policies, laws, implementation and fulfillment of public interest are all considered in the definition. Indeed, we concur the public administration is an ever-evolving field of science and art covering all aspects in the management of the government operations within the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary, the ultimate purpose of which is to minister to and to serve the public. And bring us to the origin of the definition of administration, which is ad, meaning in the Latin word minister, and minister means to minister to serve, and to manage. At this juncture, we end this presentation by leaving you not with the basic question of what is public administration, but why is there public administration, or better still, for whom then is public administration. In doing so, we hope to redirect everyone's mind not on the what and even the how of public administration, but on the basic purpose of why we and all the experts, the scientists, and the brightest of the brightest study it. Because public administration is to be fundamentally understood not as administration of the public, but administration for the public. And that's all. Thank you very much.